Namaste. If I said to you crisis management, what do those words conjure in your mind? Is it running from something or perhaps facing it objectively? While it's true that by adjusting your actions, you can avoid crisis of your own making, you'll still have to face crises that are beyond your control. One of the secrets to avoiding a crisis is the ability to act at the right time. In fact, the problem actually begins with not understanding that there is a problem and postponing action that could really easily resolve it. I mean, how proactive is the cliche? It'll be all right. Each of us has procrastinated at some point in our lives, so let's not be too hard on ourselves or too superior in regard to each other either. People will procrastinate because they're worried about failure, about failing or losing. So it's fair to say it's happened to each of us at least once. Everyone wants what's easy and trouble free. So it's not surprising that there's a temptation for the more difficult tasks to be left for the future. Yet it's this postponement that creates crisis. If you recognize this tendency, you've the opportunity to reverse it. Successful people face decisions no matter what, and these kind of people, they are people who carry out their responsibilities irrespective of whether the decision is right or wrong. Imagine you have to make a decision, but you're worried and anxious about it, so you postpone it. Chances are that any unpleasant feeling will carry on growing, like something malignant in your mind. If you decide to resolve to do the unpleasant first, you might notice a change in yourself. That what you imagined was unpleasant was largely your imagination. Yes, there will be difficult and uncomfortable situations, but they're still only situations. Huh? We'd mentioned earlier that famous of cliches, it'll be all right. It solves everything, doesn't it? This wishful thinking is bypassing, and it's not being proactive in any way. If something can go wrong, one must assume it will go wrong. Doing something to mitigate that, that's what taking charge of one's life entails. You're only able to act upon something when there's an actual problem. Though, why even leave it until then? I mean, do you put the seatbelt on after a crash, or do you put it on at the start of a journey just in case? Whether you create the problem or someone else does, it matters little. You are the one who makes it into a crisis by not accepting it for what it is, and I'm trying to bandage it with wishful thinking. It'll be all right. It'll work itself out. You might even try to spiritual idealize things by saying something like, everything will be fine if my karma is good. But karma doesn't work like this. That would be passing the buck. The responsibility lies with you. You perform the action. You must accept the responsibility. Don't blame God, the stars, or someone else. Let's say you try to change something, but you aren't able to. The reason might be because your own karma is playing a role. That's assuming responsibility. Even though you accept karma, you can still try to do something about it, of course. A crisis is resolved. Crises are resolved by the ability to act, to face problems, even those not created by you. To do this, you cultivate the ability to do what's unpleasant when you accept that there's a problem. Problems will always exist in the world. If there's such things as storms or famine, they will happen. So, problems arise, and you've got to face them. You have to. It requires inner strength to do what it takes. To be able to work through difficult situations needs you to not only be alert, but to also be capable. As a person, you've three powers. The power to know, the power to will, and the power to do. You've got the power to know, think, explore, and remember. All of this is the power to know, Jnana Shakti in Sanskrit. Jnana Shakti. You've also the power to desire, will, and to create. The power to fulfill this little the power to fulfill the desire is called Kriya Shakti. Kriya Shakti. The power to do or act. Each of us has these three powers, and excuse me, and we use them in different situations for different reasons. Even though you have these three powers, they are limited. And this is why you can never be guaranteed success. Like, for example, if you cross a road, you hope that you'll reach the other side. And that hope is important because if it's not there, well, you're not going to cross, are you? So you can see your powers are limited based on an educated guess and a hope. This expectation is based on the knowledge of facts that you possess. It's also why the unexpected can occur. Within every expectation, there is speculation, of course. This is called calculated risk. Because every effort you make involves calculated risk, you should be prepared for failure. To not expect it is to not be prepared for the unexpected. If you can accept this, then you will face a crisis better because you'll take things in your stride and carry on. Even though crises can weaken a person, they do require a person to have more courage than normal. A person can become depressed and frightened, which which will prevent them from acting at all. Each of us has always only a limited amount of knowledge, and honestly, we can't prevent everything from happening. It's important to accept our limitations if we want to be ready for failure and prepared for crisis. If you're going to allow yourself to be depressed over situations that honestly you've no control over, you become helpless and the crisis will make you even more ineffective. Depression is a reaction, whereas action is freedom because your will is involved. Crisis calls for action, not reaction. With reaction, one crisis will only lead to another. A crisis requires you to be together as a person, which can only be when you're free from depression and frustration. Willpower isn't enough to enable you to be free from depression because it comes without your permission anyhow. getting getting to the root of depression is crucial, and one of its main reasons is that you don't accept your limitation. In the understanding of the mechanisms that contribute to personal crisis, you're actually empowering yourself to not be brought to your knees. There is another factor that will empower you to be positive, and we look at that in the next episode. Thank you for watching this short video clip. This is the first in our two-part series on crisis management. Any questions or comments, please write in the box below, or you can DM me. And thanks for watching. Bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.